in a dusty village nestled between the jagged mountains and forgotten rivers of northern India. A boy named Aarav was born into poverty so severe that even hope seemed like a luxury. His father, a stone cutter with bleeding hands, worked from dawn till dusk. His mother, thin as rice paper, would trade her meals just to keep him alive. From his earliest memories, Aarav knew pain. He wore shoes made of old tires, drank water carried for miles in sun-cracked pots, and went to school barefoot because he had only one pair of clothes. But more than physical hunger, it was the hunger to escape from being just another forgotten boy, that burned deepest in his chest. One evening, as the village sky turned a haunting shade of violet, he asked his father, "Why are we poor?" His father didn't answer immediately. Instead, he picked up a rock and struck it again and again with his chisel. Finally, he said, "Because we stopped believing we could be anything else." That night, those words carved themselves into Aarav's bones. At 17, Aarav applied for a national scholarship, a full ride to a university in Delhi. He studied under candlelight. He walked 8 miles to borrow books. He memorized whole textbooks word by word. On the day the results came, he was so excited he ran to the post office barefoot. But he didn't win. His name wasn't even on the list. He walked home slowly, avoiding the eyes of villagers who had told him, "Dreams are for rich people." When he entered the door, his mother simply opened her arms. That night, he wept like a child. But when the tears dried, he whispered to himself, "This is not the end. I'm just not unbreakable yet." He carved those words into the wall above his sleeping mat with a broken piece of metal. Over the next 2 years, Aarav worked like a madman. He tutored kids for pennies, saved every rupee, and read every book he could lay hands on. He trained his body by doing push-ups in the dirt and running up the rocky hills, yelling affirmations into the wind. He woke at 4 a.m. every day with a ritual. 1. Cold water over his head to kill comfort. 2. 10 minutes of silence to face his fears. 3. 1 deep breath to remind himself, "I'm still alive, and I'm still becoming." People called him crazy. A few laughed. Most ignored him. But Aarav didn't care. He was no longer chasing results. He was becoming unbreakable. At 19, he reapplied for the scholarship, and again, he was rejected. But this time, he didn't flinch. He sold his old bicycle, bought a one-way ticket to Delhi, and said goodbye to his parents with a quiet promise, "I'll return with more than just stories." In Delhi, he slept under bridges, ate discarded vegetables from market stalls, and worked as a janitor at a university, ironically, the same one he had once hoped to study at. But in every library break, he read. In every moment of silence, he planned. In every failure, he smiled, not because he liked it, but because he knew what it was building. Comfort is a liar, he told himself. Pain is the mentor the world avoids, but the only one that makes you powerful. One day, while cleaning the university auditorium, he overheard a professor complaining about his broken projector. Aarav, who had read electronics manuals for fun, offered to help. The professor scoffed. What would a janitor know about circuits? Aarav didn't answer. He just fixed it. 3 minutes, 1 screwdriver, perfect projection. The professor was stunned. That night, he invited Aarav to his lab. That invitation turned into mentorship. Mentorship turned into opportunity. And opportunity turned into transformation. Within 3 years, Aarav had earned admission, not as a charity case, but as a full student. He studied engineering during the day, cleaned toilets at night, and built his own startup in the early hours of dawn. He was laughed out of boardrooms. He was told, "You don't belong here." He replied, "That's why I will win, because I don't belong to your limits." His first startup failed. So did his second. His third nearly bankrupted him. But the fourth? The fourth built a solar-powered irrigation system that changed farming in rural India. At 25, Aarav was invited to speak at the same university he once cleaned. Standing on stage in a crisp black suit, he looked into the eyes of students, many of whom had never failed at anything, and said, "I've been rejected, ignored, and called useless. I've starved, sweated, and been spat on. And yet, I am still here, not because I'm the smartest, but because I refused to break. Every failure, every fall, every no was a step towards this version of me." You cannot control what happens to you, but you can decide how you'll respond. And that decision is how you build an unbreakable mind. The story of Aarav is not about becoming rich or famous. It is about becoming unshakable. It's about the boy who used pain as fuel, rejection as direction, and failure as the forge for greatness. It's about the truth no school teaches and no shortcut offers. Success is not about talent. It's about endurance. Mindset is not about motivation. It's about repetition. And strength is not built in easy days. It's built when no one claps. And you keep going anyway. So if you are young, 16, 20, 24, and you feel lost, afraid, or broken, good, because you are at the edge of the fire. And if you step in, not away, you will emerge forged in iron. If Aarav could speak to you now, he would say, you don't need approval, you need courage, you don't need luck, you need will, and you don't need to wait. You are already enough to begin. So begin, right now, today, with whatever you have, wherever you are. Build that unbreakable mindset, and it will change your life forever. If this story moved you, if it made you feel something deep inside, like a spark waiting to ignite, then don't let it fade. Subscribe to this channel for more powerful stories that will change how you think, live, and rise. Because your life isn't meant to be average. It's meant to be legendary. And it all begins in your mind.